watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. It is Monday, January 19th. Today's show is about I told you so. I told you these fuckers would do it. I told you they were crazy. They were going to do it. They're going to go out there and they're going to point their guns at ICE officers. Does that make much sense? Nope. But these are the people who believe that men can be women. What else did you expect? This is as good as it gets, folks. Get your popcorn. This is what you've been waiting on. They're going insane. They have to. It's the only option they have. It's what I told you from the very beginning. They cannot do anything else but what they're doing. They don't have any other options. They have waste, fraud, abuse. They have corruption. They have nepotism. They have immigration fraud. They've got all kinds of crimes. This is the only option. This is the only play that they have available. As I've been saying for the longest time, it's going to get a lot worse before it has any chance of possibly ever getting better. This damn thing will not stay in my fucking ear. We'll see how this goes from here. This may go on the floor. Okay, there we go. It's better. Folks, I've been telling you this from the very beginning, that at some point, the crazies are going to show you who they are. If you let them speak loud enough and long enough, they'll tell you exactly who they are. That's what they're doing. At what point, as an American, do you think that it's okay to go into a church on a Sunday morning? Do you know how scared those people were? After years of these leftists going into churches around our nation and blowing our neighbors away, and then blaming it on the gun, it's not the crazy leftist, it's the guns that are causing the problem. Now they're walking in masse. What do you think those people thought was going to happen in today's environment when Don Lemon and his gang of Marxists walked in there and held them hostage against their will, entered their safe space, and told them that they were Nazis and fascists? Is that sustainable in this nation? Are we going to allow this to continue to happen? I've been calling on Trump. Trump, please do something now. At what point do we conservatives get relief? When do we get justice? When do we get our day in the sun? When do we get justice? We're not asking for you to take a misdemeanor and turn it into 34 felonies. We're asking you to take the felonies that we already know about. I'll just take the felonies that are on the Hunter Biden. I was able to see that in 2022. Pictures, dollars. There's a bunch of hullabaloo there, but those crimes are committed. The groups, the organizations that were talking amongst each other, we know, according to what's on those hard drives, what Joe was doing and what his brother was doing and what Hunter was doing and Bobolewski and Bobolansky and all the others were doing. The evidence is there. They don't need any more. No investigations. We know what they did. That drive there is just enough. I was talking to a guy this afternoon, in fact, this evening about, I've been in business, my company's been in business for 35 years. In that 35 years, we've had one attorney, by the way, been very successful, one attorney, one accountant, two banks, one corporate name. We changed the name to a DBA, but that's just because we changed the name of the company. And it was easier to do a DBA than it was to change everything else. We don't have 22 LLCs. Nope. One company's enough. Well, all the different things. What 22 different things were they and delivering? What were they doing that needed 22 different companies? What product did they sell? What did they produce? Nothing. And because of that, because it was in the fall of 2022, right before the midterms, made me cry. I don't cry. And I was in despair. I was depressed. Why? Because I saw where our nation was headed. I real moment and looking at what Hunter Biden and his daddy and his uncle had been doing, that moment I realized we're fucked. Because the FBI's been looking at the exact same thing. They've seen the exact same thing that I've seen. And Hunter Biden and his daddy are walking around taking pictures in the fucking White House. We're fucked. The system is lost. It's too corrupt. They're not going to hold anybody accountable but you and I. If you got a lot of zeros after your paycheck, if you got a lot of zeros in your paycheck every year, you get a lot of leeway in this country. If you're just getting by, they throw the fucking book at you and have a problem with it. They call it justice. Look at how many people we arrested last year. Meanwhile, those cocksucking motherfuckers, they get to walk free because they got a lot of zeros in their paycheck. You think that's fair? You think that's what our founding fathers had in mind? No, I can guarantee you that is not what they had in mind. That's what they had escaped when they left Great Britain, in Europe, when they left every other place on the face of the earth that they left to come here and be free. And now we've been enslaved by men no different than our founding fathers killed for our freedom. No different. What's the difference between being enslaved by the king in Great Britain and being enslaved by the deep state that says, here's what you have to think, here's how you have to drive your car, here's the kind of fuel you can use to heat your food, we'll even tell you what medicines you have to take, and we're going to change the pyramid. It's going to fuck you up. They've been feeding us trash for the last... They've been feeding us slave food as they ate like fucking kings. And then, well, you know, there's too much nutrition. There's too much value to that food. We're going to suck every bit of value out of that food, put chemicals and everything else in it to make it cheap. We don't care if we feed, we kill them. They're chattel. They're slaves. They're the serfs. It's either that way or we're free. Which one does it feel like right now? Do you feel like chattel? Do you feel like a serf? Or do you feel like a free man? A free woman? You're not. You know how I know you're not? Because you pay up to 50% of your taxes, your wages, to the government. You give half to your neighbor. And if you're lucky and you don't have to give half, you're giving about 28% to your neighbor. That's who your money goes to. They put their hand in your pocket, take it back out, and they give it to whoever they want to. And if you ask, where's my money going? You're a racist. You're a misogynist. You don't want the children to starve, do you? Aren't you getting tired of it? I know I am. People keep complaining, but they don't do anything about it. Guess what? Guess who's doing some shit? You know who's doing shit right now? The left. Yeah, the left is out in the street with guns. They're ready to... That's how I know it's time. We're there. It's going to be brother against brother. Uncle against nephew. We're there. Civil war. My son's not talking to me. My daughter-in-law is not talking to me. This is not hyperbole. This is actually happening in real life, and it's over politics. My son calls me a conspiracy theorist, although everything that I've said up to this point has fucking happened. And by the way, that's why this show is called, by the way, I told you so. Why do you think that I keep saying I told you so? It's important to understand that I told you we would get here. I said that we would see kinetic action in my lifetime. Well, Kramer, we haven't seen kinetic action. Tubby little fuckers with an AR that they ordered online or got down at the local gun store. They've played video games. Haven't had past probably 180 in a long time, but they're ready to go start a revolution. They're ready to protect their neighbors from the oppressive government. That's what we're being told by the people who, for the better part of my life, almost 60 years, have been saying, we've got to strip. We got to strip the Second Amendment. We got to get that right away from people because it's far too dangerous. The people that said you shouldn't have a gun are now saying that guns are the only answer. That's all that's going to save the democracy. It's all that's going to save the country. We need guns. Get out in the street with your guns. That'll stop them. I made a video about Maduro math, which I think is interesting. Maduro math is the math that we just learned about with the raid in Venezuela. We sent 20 guys in there. Those 20 guys went in, dropped down from their helicopters onto a hardened military base. That's where the president's palace was on a military base. Now, the palace itself is hardened as well. So they've got to get onto this hardened military base, break in to the hardened palace, get to him before he can get to a safe room. And in the process of doing that, folks, they killed over 200 people. 20 of our men dropped down at a place they'd never been before, killed 200 people, snatched up the president from another country, without getting a scratch on them. None of them got hurt. They killed over 200. That's a 10-to-1 ratio. Now, I see that you Call of Duty a lot. I see that you're pretty good on Halo. But I can guarantee you the first time you hear a shot ring out or a zip across your head, you're going to change how you feel about being out here as a hero. It's where our country is. How did I know we would get here? It's easy, folks. Life hasn't changed since the playground. Escalation after escalation after escalation. This is how you get here. Do you think that Trump is going to back down? You see, he has an endless supply of what he's going to need to make you rethink your choices. You don't. You're down here, right? He's up here with what he has available. You're down here. Joe Biden was right when he said, I have F-16s and nuclear, and you've just got your little AR. What are you going to do? He was right. I agreed with Joe. Trump hasn't said that. Joe said that. Joe said that on 4 different occasions. Try to head off against. Isn't it interesting that the libtards are out in the front yard with their ARs trying to show how tough they are? I'm an A-type personality. Right? I don't take much from anybody. But I ain't fucking with ICE. And I'm not fucking with them for one particular reason. The majority of ICE, the majority of our police across this country, in particular federal law enforcement, the majority of them are former military. No. You don't have to be a special operator, right, to be good with a gun. And if that's all you do on your off time, you like target practice and working out, you've already got me beat. I never work out, and I have not been to target practice in about 8 weeks. So I'm already fucked. I'm a brave person. I'm courageous. I'm not stupid. I'm not taking that guy on head on. And here we got tubby little Johnny out in his front yard trying to be the savior of the neighborhood with his little AR. I don't know if you noticed that he had fingernail polish on. You got to be dressed up when you go out. It's important to look good. Folks, this is what we're up against. We're up against video game players and real world. They don't understand what they're up against. They have no idea. Yes, I'm an A-type personality, but I'm not taking on an enemy that I can't beat. I'll have to find a different way. That's not the way to beat these guys. But that's the only option that the left has left themselves. They don't have any other options. Why aren't they talking about what's going on? Why aren't they talking about what they're going to do? How they're going to make your life better? That's what generally happens as candidates about the new season. We're in an election year. Where are they talking about the great things they're going to do and how they're going to lower taxes and they're not talking about that, are they? Are the Democrats talking about that? No, what they're saying is that they're going to war with the Republican Party. They're going to war with the federal government. That's what the Democrats are talking about. Not how they're going to make your life better, how they're going to make things cheaper, particular food, housing, the things that are important to you, how they're going to get education within the states that it's failing, like Nevada and Mississippi and Alabama. None of your politicians are talking about how they're going to get your kid to reading, are they? No. You're talking about how they're going to go after MAGA, how they're going to go after Trump, how they're going to prosecute all these people, and how they're going to take to the streets and blow ICE's head off. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about Renee Good. What a great mother she was. Such a shame. A real loss to humanity. Let me ask you this. How much protesting do you think there'd be if Renee Good, instead of being, killed by an ICE agent, had been raped and murdered by an illegal alien? How many of those protesters do you think would be in the street right now? Zero? Yep. Zero. Because that's how many were in the streets for Lake and Riley, right? We'll be right back after this.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with
CramerSez returns after this message from our partner.
Decades, the Smith-Mundt Act protected Americans from U.S. government propaganda meant for foreign audiences.
But in 2012, the Modernization Act gutted those safeguards, allowing taxpayer-funded misinformation to flood our media and minds.
Over the last 10-plus years, we've seen the damage.
Take COVID-19 messaging as an example.
The government pushed relentless vaccine campaigns and lockdowns, often suppressing dissenting science, leading to widespread distrust and division.
Election narratives.
Federal agencies amplified Russia collusion stories and censored social media, influencing public opinion and elections under the guise of fighting disinformation.
Climate change agendas.
Billions in funding promoted alarmist green policies, downplaying economic impacts and alternative views to push globalist initiatives.
This isn't freedom, it's manipulation.
Urge President Trump to overturn the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act and restore protections against domestic propaganda.
Take action today. Sign the petition now and make your voice heard while you still have the chance.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Hey, if you haven't gotten over to the CramerSezProject.com, our website, get your ass over there right now. I don't want you to buy anything. There's no swag. There's nothing over there. We need your help. Now, I don't want your time and your talent. That's what I want. Your time and your talent. If you're a videographer, if you're a reporter, if you're a journalist, if you've got stories to tell, we want to help you tell them. Get over to the CramerSez Project. Let us get together and let's start doing this. We had a meeting tonight, our first meeting of people that are interested in joining what we're doing. Again, I'm not asking for any money. I'm building it myself right now. We're trying to pay for as much of it as we can without asking anybody for any money. But we need talent, people to tell stories, look into investigations here and investigations there, and either a videographer, put it on, or I'm one of those guys, I can do it all. I do audio, video, been doing it for a long time, so it was easy for me to start doing this kind of work. But if you're not there, we can even help you. We can show you how to do it. It's not as hard as it used to be. It's a lot easier than it used to be. So if you've got a story to tell, the story matters more than the way you tell it. It doesn't have to be ultra pro to be hitting. James O'Keefe is a great example of that. I love James's work, but it could be better. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, that's what we're doing. So you can find out more about that over at the CramerSezProject.com. We hope you join us. This show tonight, I told you so. 5 years I've been saying the exact same thing. 5 years. Now, I've got a buddy who doesn't trust anything. He says nothing's ever going to happen, and Pam Bondi should be gone, and Kash Patel should be gone. And I was on that bandwagon a few weeks ago. I was asking the exact same questions, demanding answers. And it seems like we're starting to get them. Folks, you don't need an assistant DA or assistant AG if you're not doing anything. There's no need for that. There's no need to do what they're doing. I think what's going on is I think they've already tried the process. I think they're going to go a different route. I think that what Trump and his team have realized is to save this nation by using the system this nation has in place to keep us in check. We have to go back to the beginning. There has to be a revolution in this nation. Got to get rid of the judges that are corrupted. Judges in this nation that are, and everything that they do is based on their politics and not rule of law. That's got to be stopped. The federal judges that have gone out of control, the federal judges are not constitutional. They were created by Congress. Oh, we're going to make it easier on the actual constitutional judges. Constitution doesn't give you authority to do that. The things have to change, folks, and If you're here in the United States watching TV, watching the media, and trying to keep a handle on everything that's going on, you won't get much information. You want to find out what's going on, you got to get out of the U.S. because they're telling you what's going on, the moves that Trump is making and how it's affecting their nations. Did you see Mark Carney from Canada go to China and take the fucking knee, kiss the ring? Last year he said that China was the single biggest threat to North America and world peace. This last week, he was over there in China sucking Xi Jinping's dick. Did you see how he looked? They made it a real big public show because they wanted to show what they had won. China had a major win. Now, it's a problem for us because China now is going to be on our doorstep. Well, Trump did that. Trump forced Canada into China's arms. No, that'll never happen. Canada will be the 51st state before China does anything in Canada. This deal with Greenland, everybody's asking, well, what's that all about? He's trying to start a war here down in Venezuela. We got troops in Venezuela? Nope. Not going to have either. Because it's not about taking Venezuela over. The people of Venezuela are working with the American government because that's what they want. They want the corruption out. They want it gone. Well, why is it that Trump's getting the corruption out of everywhere else before he's getting it done here? Because that makes more sense. Trump's cutting off all of their boats, their lifeboats, their preservers. Everything's getting cut off. There's nothing. First was USAID being gone, shut off. The next thing you see is the boats getting blown up down in Venezuela. Why did he blow the boats up? Why did he do that? Did you ever ask, why did he blow the boats up? He could have just stopped them, right? They take a helicopter out there, fly it in front, shoot in front of them. I've seen the videos. You've seen the videos. Why did he blow them up? I'm not fucking around. I told you what I was going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to do the same thing to you unless you start listening. That's the trick of a bully. I understand that one. I get that one. I'm a bully. I get it. I understand what he's doing now. He's showing everybody if you don't do what I say, there will be consequences. Everybody's all upset. Oh, he went down there and got Maduro. He went and got a sovereign nation. Venezuela isn't a sovereign nation. Maduro's a puppet of China and Russia. Cuba is running the fucking government of Venezuela. There are more Cubans in the Venezuelan government than there are actually Cubans in Cuba. Did you know that? No, because Venezuela is not being run by Venezuelans. Venezuelans wanted their government back. Trump found out a way of doing it with that troops. Think about it. But he cut off the money to the elites in Europe. That's the big ticket that he got here. And that's what they won't talk about. How do you kill a hydra, right? You have to start cutting off all the little snakes, all the little ones. You have to get all the little ones. You got to get them all. That's what Trump has been doing. Before he attacks the main body, he gets all the little snakes. Medusa's head. Before he cuts all the head off, he's cutting all the little snakes. Reduce her power, reduce her ability. Doesn't make any sense if you don't know what's going on. It's like watching a recipe being made. If you don't understand what the end product is and you don't know anything about cooking, then you look at what they're doing and it looks like magic. You're going to put all of that in there and that's going to turn into a cake? Wow! If you don't know the trick, it looks like magic. But when you start looking at the individual pieces of what Trump is doing, it's quite amazing. Marco Rubio has just been knocking it out of the park. The team is clicking. I mean, look at what Hegseth and the Department do in Venezuela. Do you think that the Biden administration could have pulled that off? Do you think that the dudes dressed up as women with inside the Department of Defense at that time? Department of the dress, really. Do you think that they even had the vision to do it? No, because they're not men. They're not real men. They're more worried about all the other bullshit than they are killing the enemy and being successful. That's why they had to go. because their agenda, their ideology was more important than the American people. That day is over. What Trump is doing is aligning with the Monroe Doctrine. It's about fucking time. Make the Americas great again. Why do we care what the fuck Europe does? Well, because that's where we all came from. They're destroying themselves. They've opened their back door. They've let themselves get fucked out of existence. When you go to Great Britain, you go to London, and you find out that the number one name in that city is a Muslim name in London, you've already fallen. The kingdom has fallen. And I think everybody knows it. Trump is trying to protect us from that. That's why we're going after who we're going after. Don't you find it interesting how fast everything exploded after we found all the fraud in Wisconsin? I'm sorry, Minnesota. It's in Wisconsin too. Sorry, it's everywhere. It's in California. It's everywhere. We got it here in Indiana. But don't you find it odd how all of a sudden it exploded? And we haven't seen anything yet. Where's Antifa? Where's Black Lives Matter? I got to tell you, Minnesota's so white. Have you seen the protest? Who are they protesting for? What rights are being limited? The people they're voting for, or the people they're protesting for, aren't protesting themselves. You realize that? They're protesting to break the law. They're protesting for open borders. They don't even know what they're protesting for. If Renee Good had been raped and murdered instead of shot by an ICE officer, if an illegal had killed Renee Good, nobody would have cared. Not one of those green-haired, whatever what you call it, right? They, them fucks. Not a single one of them would be in the streets right now if that had been, Renee Good had been raped and murdered. None of them. That's why I don't care what the fuck they say. They don't carry any weight with me. They're hollow people. They're shallow. They don't believe in even the moral core to them. They're just dangerous. They don't offer anything to society because all they do is suck everything out of it. So no, I don't listen to them. I don't care. And when they say, well, Renee Good was a mother, I feel more for her child, the surviving child, than I do anything else. The one child she had left because she'd lost the other two, I feel for those children. That's who I feel for. Renee Good got what she deserved. Sorry. You know, I'm going to put her in the same category as Ashley Babbitt. Oh, it's different. No, it's not. Ashley Babbitt was someplace she shouldn't have been. That's why I didn't go into the building. I was there on January 6th. I didn't go inside. And we got to be fair with this, folks. Fuck around, find out. If you do stuff you've never done, you're going to learn things you never knew. Ashley Babbitt learned a life lesson. Don't fuck with Michael Byrd. He's a murderer. He will kill you. That's what I learned as well. Is that if she punk fakes Ross, the officer, he's going to shoot her. It's a horrible way to learn that lesson, but that's what happened. People tried to equate it to Charlie Kirk. It had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was giving a shit, invited people to come. He was assassinated. Ross was doing, Good was doing what? She was impeding cops in their job. If it's okay to do, if that's fine to do, if doing what she was doing to a cop is okay, then go do it. Knock yourself out. Go prove your point. Videotape you doing the exact same thing to another cop, and you tell me how it turns out. We'll all see it on the news. That's how it'll turn out. Because you're going to get yourself shot. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. You're lying to yourself, and we're tired of it. We don't want to play with the lies anymore. We're done. There was a little girl when I was a kid in 4th grade, Mrs. Myers in Terre Haute, Indiana. And we had a little girl in our class that was a liar. She lied all the time. Nobody listened to her. she would this is how rude people became to her. She would start a story or start talking, and people would just walk away. Kids would just walk away. This is in 4th grade. Do you think she ever changed? Do you think she ever learned the errors of her ways? I haven't tracked her down. I haven't kept track of her. I don't know if she's still a liar, but I know she was in 4th grade. These liberals are the same way. I don't have arguments with people anymore about if there's 28 genders. I don't give a fuck. There's not. There's men, there's women, and then there's all the weirdos. That's all there is. Men, women, freaks. And I don't listen to freaks. I don't hang around them. I don't give a fuck. They, them, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to me. You can have all the drama you want about who you think you are. I'm not going to play that game. And when it comes to what your political opinion is, I don't listen to anybody that lies to themselves. You lie to yourself, you have no problem lying to me. And you can believe anything. Because if you lie to yourself, you'll lie to yourself about anything. We've seen what Trump has done in the first 11, 12 months that he's been in office. We're coming up on a full year. Look at what he's done. Now, some people aren't all that excited because it's not what they wanted done, but the more you look at what Trump has done, the more you realize that the dominoes are being put in place. And what we have to realize is truths. I want you to think this through. That's what I do all day long, right? Is that I ask stupid questions because I want to know the answers to stupid questions because that's the meaning of life. I'm pretty sure that at the end of my time on Earth, at some point I'm going to learn the meaning of life, and it's something stupid like popcorn. You say popcorn, that's it. That's the meaning of life. I don't know what it is. But I can tell you that if Trump isn't going to deliver on what he said he was going to do, which is get back to what happened in 2020, get down to what happened with COVID, get down to all the election bullshit, all the Russia bullshit. If he's not going to do that, he can't expect our vote in 2028. He's got to make some major moves so Republicans take the House and the Senate in 2026. Because he's not going to get our vote in 2026 either. His candidates won't get our votes if we don't start getting some movement on these issues. Now, Trump has to know the same thing. Trump's people have to know the same thing. Democrats are expected to turn out in numbers in 2026, not Republicans. The turnout for Democrats is almost double what it is for Republicans expected coming up this next cycle. Why? Well, we got our guy in House. We're okay. We don't need anything major. Democrats don't think that. Democrats think that they want to impeach Trump. And they've already told you that, and we're going to do a show about that this week. I'm compiling it now, but I'm going to show you what they're saying. These people who want power next, how they're going to come after you, me, in particular me, people like me. They're going to come after all the voices. Anybody who punched through in the last 4 or 5 years, they're coming after those people. Well, if you didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't have any problems. Yeah, you're right. But we also saw a get turned to 34 felonies. You ever seen that happen before? That's a hat trick. So what I want you to wrap your heads around is that Trump is either doing what he said he was going to do or he's not. Right? Everything's binary. Black or white. There's no gray in life. There's only black or white. You either go or you don't go. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You're alive, you're dead. There's no in between. And so Trump has to know the exact same thing. Everybody who's successful knows binary choices is what it comes down to at the end. I can do all these things and I can try to explain it like this, but at the end of the day, people, when they're honest with themselves, they know there's a binary choice, and you can't have that because everybody sees through it. So Trump's got to be working on 2020. He's got to be working on COVID. He's got to be working on all this other stuff. So think about it. They put 2 test cases out there. They put Cook there. They stopped on Brennan, right? They put James and Comey out there to see what would happen. And what happened? These corrupt judges threw everything out. Oh, it's a statute of limitations here, and you don't have the right kind of standing here, and you didn't get certified the right way here. They find all kinds of little reasons to let the guilty go. Keep in mind, these were the same judges that allowed a misdemeanor to be 34 felonies. It's not going to work in that system. So it looks like if Trump wants to really fix it, if he wants the votes in 2026, if he wants the votes in 2028, that the system has to be fixed. And you can't do that from the inside. You can only do that from the outside. You ever seen a car that fixed itself? Nope. You have to take it to a mechanic. Something from the outside fix that thing. It cannot fix itself. Government's the same exact way. We'll talk about that.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Local views.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation,
and around the globe.
you're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message.
They lied about it. They tried to hide it.
It was 100% unconstitutional. That's what we were saying in 2024.
I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped them.
And today, the NLPC has been vindicated by Senator Grassley's document dump, revealing Jack Smith illegally and unconstitutionally spied on American citizens.
Jack Smith spied on members of the United States Senate. What is this, East Germany?
Grassley's document dump has revealed that Jack Smith's team illegally seized call logs from Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Josh Hawley in the unconstitutional 2023 Arctic Frost probe.
From the outset, we said Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. A federal judge vindicated that view. Now we see the connection between unconstitutional prosecutions and illegal evidence gathering.
The NLPC has been on top of this story from the beginning. Follow or subscribe to the NLPC on this platform for more. Or visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can be part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. It is Monday, January 19th. And what we are watching, folks, is the collapse of the Democrat Party. Democrat Party is revealing who they really are, that they don't have anything left. If you've been watching the protest, in particular the Don Lemon fiasco of going into the church, those groups that he went in there with, folks, are, I don't know if they're Soros funded. We're looking into that right now, but it appears that, well, these NGOs are the ones doing all this. And these NGOs, they get the majority of their money from us, the American taxpayer. They're the ones that are out there and they're best causing all the problems. The ones in charge, the ones at the tip of the spear. You can't be a protester. They don't exist. Some paying you so you have money for the hotel that you're staying in, so that you have money for the signs that you give everybody, so that you have money for the T-shirts and all the other bullshit and the tents and the army shit and the pads and the goggles, all of it. Where's the money coming from? The vast majority of them are unpaid. That's what we're finding. They're not paid to the rate that everybody thinks. When we say they're paid protesters, the vast majority are just useful idiots. About bit my tongue there. Useful idiots. Lenin relied on them in Russia. Why did he like the useful idiots? Because you can convince them of anything. They have no inner core. They have no foundation. They will believe anything they're told, and they will do anything they're told. They can be convinced one day that you should protest for this person, but somebody who gets killed or something that happens the exact same way you shouldn't, because of how they vote or who they support. That kind of hypocrisy cannot be allowed to be in government anymore, folks. We've got to call it out. That's what I've been working on for the last 5 years. I kept realizing the major issue that we have isn't the inability to investigate or it's to look into things. It's being able to get it out and spread and making people understand the importance of what news, real news, not what you watch on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News. That's entertainment. That is not news. It's entertainment. It's all about news. I want real information to base my information on, my decisions on. I don't want to hear a headline over here and a headline over here and wrong because they're both lies. This is what we keep finding time and time again. Or they tell half-truths, or they tell you just enough of the truth to make you believe a lie. What's that phrase that they say? There's no evidence of? What does that mean? It means nothing. Nothing at all. There's no evidence of means I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Just because there's no evidence that the atom existed, but it did. It was always there. There's no evidence that, universes beyond us ever existed. But when you got a telescope and you looked, you found them, you go, oh, they're there. It's what they say when they want to make you believe that what you believe is bullshit. There's no evidence of. Remember when we were told there's no evidence of widespread election fraud? What are we finding now? What did we just find down there in Fulton County in Georgia? 315,000 ballots, fraudulent, should have never been put in, should have never been certified, yet they were. That's why I don't trust these fuckers. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust any politician. Well, what about Trump? I don't trust any politician. Didn't I just say? Why don't I trust any politician? Because I don't know if they're going to deliver on what they promised until they're done. Trump hasn't delivered on what he said he was going to do yet. He's done some stuff we want, but he hasn't done everything he said he was going to do. I want to know about Epstein. He said he was going to let us know. Then he turned his back and said, no, you don't get to know. I think maybe that was one of the greatest moves of all time, actually. There's a strategy there that I think is genius. It stalled everybody for just a half a heartbeat. What the fuck? And then everybody's talking about that for at least 2 or 3 news cycles. That's what he does. He fucks with everybody. The thing that he just Davos. Or not Davos, I'm sorry, Denmark. If you're not going to give me the Nobel Peace Prize, then I guess I don't have to be all that concerned about peace. What's everybody? Oh, he said he's not going to be worried about peace anymore, and he's just going to go take Greenland. He's going to military force. The thing that's being said about what's going on is in their heads. Trump didn't say any of that. They're making it all up. All of it. Because that's how they think. As I said, we're building a show right now that I think is really interesting. It's going to showcase what the left has, what they're going to do next. The calls for violence. And I'm not talking about what's happened in the last few days. We started working on this content 3 or 4 weeks ago. And this is 3 or 4 weeks ago when major names inside the left are saying that there needs to be retribution, there needs to be accountability, they got to come after us with the courts, there's got to be congressional hearings, to go to jail, MAGA's got to go to jail, Steve Bannon's got to go to jail, RFK Jr.'s got to go, everybody's got to go to jail. Isn't that kind of campaigning to lock up your opponents? Isn't that what they just accused Trump of doing? Do you see any of his political opponents in jail? Well, he went after Comey. Yeah, what happened with that? The judges all let him go, didn't they? But they didn't. They didn't fight the charges. Localities. What about James? Same exact thing. They're not facing the charges. So Trump is either going to do one of two things. He's either going to deliver on his promises or he's not. The question you got to ask yourself is how much wiggle room do you give him and his team to be able to prove to you that he's doing what he said he was going to do. He's just doing it on his time. I can tell you that to do big things like this, if they're going to do it, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. At the same time, he's dealing with who else? Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom. Tim Walz is trying to start a civil war out in Minnesota. We're at war with the. I wish I had the hair so I could make it all ruffled, because he is just a deer in the headlights all the time, and just I don't know, scared him. He's almost like a Tim Conway type character, you know. He's just out all the time as I episode of meth or something. And you got the police chief over there standing behind the mayors. The mayor says that the police are going to start fighting ICE officers in the streets. A lot of body language going on. As I've been telling you for the last several years, it's only going to get better before it gets worse. It has to. It's too corrupt. The question is how far will it go? How destructive will it be? Will people die? You've got people in the streets now thinking they're badasses. The young man that was sitting on the back of the car, a young black man that was sitting on the back of the car in Minneapolis, playing a dangerous game. Got a big bag gun, but he didn't have any bullets in it. There was no rounds in that magazine that he had. Now, he may have had one chambered, but if you don't have a full clip going out. There he is. Again, people aren't thinking. It's all emotions. Emotions get people in trouble. You've got girls, I'm too afraid to carry a real firearm. I don't want to hurt anybody. So I'm thinking about taking an airsoft gun. Or I'm going to take a paintball gun. I don't know if you've ever been shot in the face with a paintball gun, but a cop gets shot in the face with that, he will assume his whole face has been off. That's how much it hurts. He will fire back. All you've got is paintballs. That's what you call a lifeline. We got a bunch of kids that have learned life by playing video games. They've been in and come back, and what they don't realize is that once they fire back, it's over. You're done. These men and women that are firing these weapons, they've been trained in the military. These aren't just ICE officers. The majority of the ICE officers, the majority of law enforcement is former military. Why would you want to fuck with any of them? Because you're stupid. You're stupid. You're ignorant. Right? I've said that time and time again. People use the word ignorant. People get all upset. You know what ignorant means? Uneducated. You don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know you don't know. That's the hardest thing to wrap your head around. Tell you what, I've been lucky my entire life. When I jump into things, I've been lucky to this point where I've learned all my really fast up front, right? The majority of them happened right at the beginning, and I got those out of the way and moved on. But that doesn't happen a lot of times. But everything that I learned from my mistakes. I learned from what I did wrong. I didn't learn anything from what I did right. I didn't go back and reevaluate it. We only reevaluated what we did wrong. That's where you learn everything. And these kids are about to learn life lessons that are going to destroy families. You take your pew-pew and you head out to the front lawn and you've got 4 or 5 guys. I don't care how many neighborhood friends you've got armed in your neighborhood. You drop 20 military in that same street, you can have 100. How do I know that? Well, because in Venezuela, 20 of our men dropped in and killed over 200, didn't get a scratch on them. And when they drop, they're going to be using the same technology that they used in Venezuela. You want to take that on? I don't. We have a choice here. As a nation, we have a choice. We can continue down this path, or we can stop. Democrats can stop. they can stop doing what they're doing and tell their people, you know what, it's not as bad as we think it is. It's going to be fine. We're going to have another election, and but they can't. And the reason they can't do any of that is because they're afraid of being exposed for the crimes they've committed. That's all this is about. What Tim Walz and those guys are doing in Minnesota, they're doing the exact same thing in Washington, D.C. The scramble that they're doing there, they're doing there. It doesn't get any better anytime soon. And it's only going to get worse. Why? Because we're getting closer and closer to the election. Democrats need the election to go their way so that they can do what they're going to do next. Now, we've already seen what they're willing to do. They accuse us of everything. I mean, they accused us of rigging after they said that, all of the elections they're fair and transparent and they're the best of ever. And you don't second guess our elections because that would make you an election denier and that would also make you a threat to national security. So just don't do that. Then in 2024, they said, it was rigged. Elon Musk rigged it. He and his satellites changed all the voting machines, and they have no core. Either they were the most secure and transparent elections of all time, or we were lied to. The people who told us that we couldn't question an election are now saying in 2024 that Trump rigged it. Aren't you tired of it? You should be. We haven't had a news service in this nation for at least the last 10 years. I know that because I went back and I started looking for investigations into pharmaceutical companies. And the last one was 11, the last major one. There have been other private ones, but no news network that looked at pharmaceutical companies in the last decade? Nothing? Why? You know why. It's time that changed, and that's what we want to do at CramerSez. We think that there's a new way of doing it. There's a better way of doing it. So we want to build in people reporting on what's important to the people as opposed to the State Department and BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street and what they want done. That it's coming from us. What's important for us. And what's important for us is not important for them. And once we start talking amongst ourselves again and communicating amongst us that this is what's going on and these... Listen, I had a Democrat that was all pissed off about an issue. And we come to find out we agree on it. But they don't like Trump. And because of that, they wouldn't talk to me. They don't want the data center in their community either. They don't want it there for different reasons, but they still don't want it there. Well, why can't we ally? Because Trump! Because you're a racist! No, I'm not a racist. I live 4 houses down from you, you dumb fuck. If I was a racist, I'd be burning a cross in your front yard. I'm not. I'm down here talking to you, trying to find out, hey, what's your interest in the water thing? Are you pushing or are you against that data center? Because I'm against it. You want to join forces? Well, who'd you vote for in 24? Trump? Get off my doorstep, you fucking... That's where we are. And it's not going to be fixed, folks. And that's true. She steal as much as we heard she stole. We want to look into those issues nationally. And it starts locally. That's where all stories start. And that's where all corruption starts. It doesn't start in D.C., folks. Backyard. All the shit that happens there, right? It starts in your backyard. The idea happens in your capitals, in your small towns throughout your state. And then they take that and they say, we think we've got a way to be able to make money off this deal. You want to do this with us, write this law? One of the examples I was given, for example, is the law was written with technical specifications on exactly how certain things had to happen, technically, with electronics. They were so specific that at the end of the day, that Motorola was the only one who won. They wrote a law that made it mandatory that Motorola be used as the technical, the electronic company. Folks, that is not right. That should be exposed, and those people should go to jail. How much money did they make on that deal? That had to be thought out in advance. They spelled it out so specifically that the only group that had the patent on that kind of capability, that kind of technology, was Motorola. This shit's got to stop. Otherwise, our children, our grandchildren, don't have a future. It's bleak. You know it, I know it, they know it. For things to change in the people have to take things back, control back. And we don't have to have a revolution. We don't have to have streets. Yes, I'm ready for it if it happens. But I'd prefer it not. I prefer that we get back to the point where we can talk to each other again. There's only one way that we get control of the narrative, is that we control the narrative ourselves. We get the American dream back on track. We're not a racist nation. We love each other. We've been told to hate each other because that person over there wrote a book on how hateful we are. And he's on TV all day long. She's on TV. Robin DiAngelo is a great example. This white bitch writes a book about white fragility, and all it is her telling you how much of a racist she is. And she projects it on everybody else. I don't think those things. You don't think those things. Only racist people think those things. The cunt that wrote the book about it. The cunt that made millions off of it and then went to Coca-Cola and convinced Coca-Cola that they should tell their employees, don't be too white. It's got to stop, folks. And it's not going to happen from the top down. If you want to help us, get over to the CramerSezProject.com. That's what we're trying to build a news service from the ground up. We need your money, need your time and your energy. If you're in the news business, if you're in media, if you know web design, graphic design, video production, audio production, we need help. How do we get paid? Everybody's asking that. You don't. This is a passion project. Either you want to get your country out of the hole that you don't. I have already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this to get it to this point. We need the next step, and that's you, people. If you want to help, get over to the CramerSezProject.com. We are not looking for beginners. I know that there's a lot of people out there that want to jump in. Well, I can learn it. No, not at the pace we're going to move. You can't. You've got to be in broadcast. You've got to have the capability. If you can tell a story, if you can edit a story together, if you can do that, fine. So that's what we want. But if you're needed to be trained from the ground up, that's not what we're looking for. This is too important, and we've got to get it launched here in the next 90 to 180 days. We're going to lose the window for 2026 if we don't get it done now. So please join me over at the CramerSezProject.com. I will see you over there.
The Kramer Says Project will return
After this important message.
Introducing Tusk. You get uncensored news and secure browsing, all while protecting your privacy. Choose the news you trust and take control of your internet. Join the free speech revolution with Tusk. Download Tusk today at tuskbrowser.com.
Are you frustrated with the opinions and agendas the media calls news? Join the Kramer Says Project, a grassroots movement to save free speech and deliver unfiltered truth powered by everyday Americans. We're building the first people-powered news network, 24/7 streaming, citizen journalism, and real facts without spin. If you're ready to dive in and fight for liberty, head to thecramersezproject.com today and sign up to become part of the team or put your name on the list to be notified when subscriptions are available. Join us today at thecramersezproject.com.
More about the Kramer Says Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it. Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The Kramer Project goes live.